I'm just trying to hesitate with each click. My goodness, I would just need
It is hard.
If you want to, so like I can do that sometimes. So like sure record it because if you don't need it, send the back. It's really it's really bad. And so and the last round and so
Three people come to Nashville and one of two stay. We'll go and
well, now when we drinks to start our voice recording.
I see how they set up the room,
This records.
but the problem children on this side, so they,
For
closer to them and they can really sit.
you hit this button, start recording. Session wants the ready to start. The live stream is just a courtesy.
So the last week, someone's being.
That's what you guys were talking about last week.
Yeah. Yeah. Because you were via Zoom.
That's I wasn't there. I was thinking about it.
Okay.
So.
We just didn't recognize it until we took, so then
I
you.
kept saying,
Oh, shoot.
that I was-
Okay,
So,
we ended up not approving the minutes last time.
yeah, I was on there for that.
So then the first thing that we did,
It's a great.
when I was introducing like who was here.
Yeah, so Kelly came up. Yeah, I was talking to Kelly at the end and that, I think when I said,
They say, huh?
I approve it,
Oh,
and then
good.
that's when you guys were like, oh, wait, you're here, but I had been there from the beginning. So I had.
Do we have to show it like this?
You know what?
Just for a minute.
I think them right or
On my
something.
camera, so one. people-
Yeah.
I said, I don't know where she was like. Like we moved, we walked
Yes.
around.
I don't know.
Around for a minute. I was just getting dinner on the table.
Yeah.
And I was with my daughter, she had a baby. And so then I went downstairs and turned my camera.
But it
on.
isn't
And
that
I
much
was like, her
fun.
camera's back on. I'm not.
No, you were, most people don't want to.
I just wanted to show them it was there and present. And then I still wasn't even, which is fine, like, it's fine. I just wanted to be involved and.
Most of the time, like if it's just this, you know, then we'll see like
Right.
that up there with the Zoom. But when you're looking at the starts on there, none of the Zooms kind of shows.
So that's a split screen for him. It says that on YouTube, so it's me on YouTube. Yeah.
Unless that's where the news have this such more option from Sharon.
But I don't know. Anyways, but I was there. No, it's something, I mean, I might have missed hello.
If I knew you were going to.
Yeah, I thought right at 7. So it might have taken me
A minute.
a minute, but I was there.
15 minutes even, yeah. Now I'm ready.
I was late. How quickly you started the recording.
We ready when you're ready.
So Saturday we take off.
On the last one. Fishing. It's slow on the fence.
It's a little slow right now.
It'll come. You might be there right.
We might be there just as it starts to
My dad,
ramp up.
my dad was always at July 15th.
That's 1 minute.
Yeah. That's today, isn't it?
Yes.
My phone says 6:59.
So,
But so he would go there, try to stay.
yeah,
You might be hit just right.
so
That. Such a weird year. Messed it up.
oh, last year was incredible.
It's just like.
You just kind of threw your line in and then pulled out a fish.
I was there. And so. Like you did.
Oh,
Like people do, but I don't know if it's a day, it's just. So,
Marcus's or
Marcus's.
All right, we're going to get started.
Yeah.
Welcome to the Hyde Park Planning Commission meeting. Today is Wednesday, July 15th, 2026, and it's 7 p.m. We have everyone present here today. I'm Commissioner Lee. We have Commissioner
That's right.
Taylor, Commissioner Williams, Commissioner Mose, and Commissioner Hanson. And Commissioner Hanson has agreed to give our opening remarks, which is prayer of thought and the Pledge of Allegiance.
Give a prayer. Our dear Father in heaven, we're grateful unto thee for our many blessings. We're grateful for the freedoms we enjoy. We're grateful for this community we live in and all the great people that are here. We're grateful for those that serve us in all of very many ways and for our neighbors. We ask thou will please bless us in this meeting, that we will be led to do good things for our community. Bless us that we'll be civil. Please bless any of those in our community that have special needs, health or otherwise. Bless them. They'll be watched over. And we pray for these things humbly in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen.
Please stand.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, thank you. Last meeting, we had too many changes on our June 17 minutes, so let's get those up tonight, and then we'll get to the July 1 meeting. So June 17th. Commissioner Hanson,
I have no comments on.
Commissioner Mose,
no changes.
Commissioner Williams, Taylor. Okay, I look for a motion on the June 17.
Make a motion that we approve those minutes from the 16th or the 17th of June.
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion by Commissioner Hanson, a second by Commissioner Mose. Any further discussion? All right, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed, say nay. Okay, those passed unanimously. Then we have from our last meeting, July 1, the minutes from July 1. Again, Commissioner Hanson.
I had one comment on page 8. Somebody else brought up the boilerplate template thing, not me. So
I wondered about that too.
think it was
One of
Wasn't
these
me.
two.
Section.
page 8, paragraph 2.
Was that you, Commissioner Williams?
I
That
thought you brought that up.
Not the boilerplate. I brought up a lot of other things, but I didn't do that.
you know how
Think that was me. If
I do
it's-
too.
If it's the boilerplate template for development agreements, that was me.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. That's the only comment I found.
Okay, Commissioner Mose,
I have no changes.
Commissioner Williams.
That would have been the main.
Okay, Commissioner Taylor.
Yes, I was actually present the entire session. And it says that I am absent and I initially noted and joined partway through. I was there the whole time.
We just didn't recognize her. Okay, I'll look for a motion on the July 1 minutes.
I make a recommendation that we accept the minutes from July 1st with the changes that have been noted.
And I will second that.
Okay, we have a motion by Commissioner Mose and a second by Commissioner Taylor. Any further discussion? Okay, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed, say nay. Okay, that passed unanimously too. Okay, next is our planning staff report. Just a short update on applications and developments underway right now. I have 4 preliminary plats under evaluation. I have 2
2 site plans, 3 plat amendments, 1 CUP, and then we're currently reviewing Gateway's development agreement and subdivision plat amendment. In our office, we're currently working on a subdivision improvements agreement for to go along with plats. Now we will record the improvements that were agreed to. So that's all in one package and can be found historically or looked up by title report. So we're adding the subdivision improvements agreement to our subdivision plat as required things that will be recorded. So Kyle and I are working on that verbiage and it will come as a discussion item to you folks before we pass it. We're also working on site development standards for our new zone and we'll talk about that at the end. And that's all I have.
Yes, we will.
Question on the CUP. I don't want to know who it's from, but what is it for?
It is for industrial use in a commercial zone along Wolfpack Way.
Okay, I think I may have heard of that.
Okay, thank you. No administrative items on our agenda tonight, just legislative items. We have 2 public hearings. The first one is for some changes to our definitions and changes and additions to some of our definitions, which we've talked about for a couple meetings. Do you have a staff report on that specifically?
I do. I'm going to pass that off to my intern Kyle, who led the discussion on this at our last.
Great. Kyle, you're up.
Perfect, thank you. So ordinance 2026-10 amends section 12.120.010, the definitions. The purpose of these definition changes is to be consistent with state code. Accessory dwelling unit, internal accessory dwelling unit, and detached accessory dwelling unit have been amended to match state code definitions. Retail sales establishment is being defined to reduce extraneous language in the land use table section. In addition, changing the format of the definition section would be beneficial for both consistency and clarity across city code. Each title and section of HPMC, uses different formatting, whereas the Utah Legislative Drafting Manual and Style Guide suggests having the word in quotations followed by means and then the definition. Large cities as well as the state of Utah follow this template. And so Exhibit D shows an example of what this would look like in Hyde Park code. So that was a recent addition to this ordinance. And moving forward, similar changes will be made to other sections to increase the uniformity of our code. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. We've already talked about this a couple times, so we
We'll make a motion that we accept the ordinance 2026-10.
Do we have to have a public? first?
Oh, that's
Oh,
right.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, I was with you, Mike.
I was right
Sorry.
there. Was ready to
I'm
go.
all for being ahead.
You've lost me now.
We will have the public hearing before we vote on this. All right. Okay, I'm going to, before I open the public hearing, just some generic rules. We encourage all participants to follow the rules of decorum by behaving with polite, respectable, and dignified conduct. Please state your name for the record, speak clearly into the microphone, and take no more than 3 minutes. Please phrase your comments as statements, not questions. A public hearing is an opportunity to share facts and information about the topic and not an exchange or dialogue. And we commissioners need to remember not to respond either. We can take notes and answer to it, like comment on it later, but it's not meant to be back and forth during the public hearing. Please make sure your comments are factual, accurate, and original, and that they are addressed to the commission. Okay, I'll open the public hearing for ordinance 2026-10 for definitions, additions, and changes. Okay, seeing no comment, I will close the public hearing. Yeah, I'll take that motion now.
Oh, you lost me. I'm not doing it, dude. You had your chance.
I'll make a motion then. I make a motion that we approve this definition amendment to the number that was given before.
26.
20.010.
Oh, Title 12. Okay. I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion by Commissioner Hanson and a second by Commissioner Mose. Any further discussion? Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. Okay, that passes unanimously, all 5 of us. Okay, we have another public hearing. We'll on this one to repeal zones RT, the mixed, which is residential transition, the mixed use, and the R2, which is also a residential kind of half acre zone. We'll take a staff report on that from one of you. Kyle?
Perfect. Okay. Ordinance 2026-11 amends the R2, RT, and MXD code. This ordinance would cease development applications and zoning map amendments for the R2 and MXD zones and repeal the RT zone. Current standards would apply to vested developments in R2 and MXD. However, since there are no vested developments or pending applications in the RT zone, the zone itself can be repealed. The commission preferred to have the added language at the top of each section, and this change is now reflected in the ordinance exhibits. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. That was a great addition. Thanks to Commissioner Mose. Okay. We will open the public hearing then for ordinance 2026-11 to repeal the residential transition, the mixed use, and the residential 2 zones. Anyone wishing to speak to that item can come forward at this time. Same rules apply. In case I scared you off the first time. Okay, no comment. So we will close that public hearing. And I would look for a motion on this item.
Before we do that, just a comment real quick, just to ensure that we change the dates effective from the 15th to the 22nd, if that's when the city council approves it.
Noted.
And I'll make a motion to recommend approval to the city council, recommend approval of ordinance 2026-11 to the city council.
I'll second that motion.
Okay, we have a motion by Commissioner Mose and a second by Commissioner Williams to approve this ordinance change, repealing and
Recommend approval.
recommend approval. Right, sorry. Recommending approval to City Council. All right, any further discussion? Okay, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed, say nay. All right, another one passes unanimously and timely. Okay, we're up to discussion items. We'll start with the rezone criteria proposal. And does staff have a report for us on that?
We sure do.
Thank you.
Okay. So this is the rezone criteria for considering zoning map amendments. Specific additional criteria will ensure thorough examination of each amendment. But before we dive into that, I would like to bring to the commission's attention a recommendation from legal experts, various lawmakers, and the federal rules of evidence, civil court, and criminal court. They emphasize that the word shall has become both ambiguous and outdated. It can mean a variety of things depending on the context. And the courts have ruled in a variety of different cases, including a 1995 Supreme Court case that shall does not imply requirement. Thus, future ordinances, including the one that you're about to see, will begin this language transition to be in compliance with the 2010 Plain Language Act and prevent any confusion about the language down the road.
Wow.
So this is a pretty recent change. Obviously, the state has not adopted this. It has started on the federal level, and specifically the judicial branch on the federal level. Congress has not approved it or updated this yet. But but there has been many court cases where shall is ambiguous. And so just to increase the clarity, as well as to make, shall is a outdated, sort of archaic word. And so the Plain Language Act encourages removing shall from our city code.
That seems crazy to me. All right, we've trusted that word for a long time that we knew that meant must. Okay. Interesting.
Okay. So the general updates to this one is, again, as I mentioned, we're changing all of our musts to shall or will or is or may, whatever makes more sense in the context. Future ordinances should also include this new language. Furthermore, we're adding master plans to be considered. And we're using the word is versus would be, just to make it more grammatically consistent. Okay, for our main edits, for our first criterion, we're adding compatibility and density with overall use and character, just to sort of encapsulate the full vicinity of the area that's being considered. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, you're fine. All of these can be argued. If shall can be argued, I'm thinking anything can be argued.
Right?
Go ahead.
A world has crumbled before that.
I have always thought that shall is ambiguous, and I always wanted must, and I was told not to use it, to use shall here.
Your fault with him.
You went,
Yeah,
you went over our heads, Mike?
I went over your heads, and I've always thought that.
Fine.
Just ahead
Mike
of her,
wins.
right?
I can go now.
So shall not will become must not.
Yes,
Yeah.
or will not, depending on the context. Okay, number 3, just make sure that the proposed use is consistent with the use table. And then number 4, considers the impact on traffic, specifically traffic congestion, road safety, pedestrian access, and public transportation. Okay. The second to last one is considering the natural environment. So the topography, geology, hydrology, and ecology of the property, and environmental hazards or impacts. And then finally, it concludes with community needs and city benefit. What we're trying to ask with this is what will be improved by approving this? Why is this going to be a benefit for the city? So yeah, those are the proposed changes. Thank you.
Thank you.
So if you folks remember a few months ago, we brought this before Planning Commission. The question was, are our rezone criteria enough? Do we need other rezone criteria? Do we need more rezone criteria? And I didn't get a lot of suggestions. And so I did my own research and took all of the suggestions and the discussion that we had about this a couple of months ago and gave it to Kyle. So here's where we're at, is these excellent additions to rezone criteria. I think these will be super helpful to make thoughtful decisions about rezones that speak to code and speak to actual criteria, instead of having to have a feeling or a overwhelming number of citizens chime in one way or the other. So this should help clarify when a rezone is going to happen and by what criteria.
Okay. Probably supposed to have a motion, but I imagine there's some comments to go. Someone want to make a motion and then we can discuss it?
Is there, I don't think there's any motion, it's just.
Oh, sorry, we're
This
just
has been
talking.
approved. This is just.
Never mind. Okay,
Listen, you guys are so used to just getting in there.
I
and
know.
stuff, so I
Sorry.
appreciate that. We
Okay,
don't have
discussion.
enough today.
Commissioner Hanson.
It seems like on number 4, I like the list, but it seems like it might need 1 or 2 other things to the list, because the 2 that popped into my head are, if you've got some kind of an emergency and you're trying to egress your citizens out of the transportation system's trying to get people out. I don't know that that's necessarily covered by those ones that are on the list. So maybe something along that line.
Well, those kinds of
Send
things
the
are
master
covered
plan.
by development standards and by the development of the roads and the structures. This is just rezone criteria.
Yeah, this,
So what
This is
would,
the
we would say
amendments for the
here
rezoning,
is
right?
if somebody was proposing a rezone
G
to a
approval
high
standard.
density area, what would be the traffic impacts of just general high density development for this parcel, right? We wouldn't specifically be talking about access points or road widths or anything like that. We would say, as it sits right now, can this neighborhood support the thing that would be allowed in this zone? Or the uses that would be allowed in this?
I guess what I'm saying is, would that neighborhood dump too much traffic onto other parts of the
And
city?
that's something that you would have to determine through probably a traffic study or something like that.
Right.
So
But
we
it-
can take initial opinions, engineering opinions and DRC feedback
Right.
about stuff like that into consideration, and this lets us ask for that.
I think also, the one document that you'd look to is the traffic master plan, which is up there in G. So that's part of G. And that's one of the things that has to be consistent with is with our, I think you have to go to the next page. Oh,
So
too
Yeah.
far.
there's just the original, the red line.
Right there. Yeah, it's the red line. It's on page 2 of 3.
Master plans.
See in the
Change
top.
the shall and must.
Yep, they're adding that in there. So we have to use that as one of our criteria, one of the sources of information as to whether or not it's meets the other 8 criteria for consideration.
I mean, it's kind of somewhat implied in the traffic congestion, but
Do you have additional verbiage to suggest?
no, I was just reading the list. I'm like, are we really covering that issue? Or
Okay.
can public safety get to things with this? That was another thing that was, are both of those things covered in
DRC.
the whole thought process of considering a rezone?
Yes, one of the people who attends our DRC is our fire chief.
Right, I understand
So
that,
he
but do we need to put anything in here to say that?
Could we say ease of access as
Could
something
say
considered?
public safety,
Public safety.
not just road safety. but
Yeah,
we could
maybe that
say
would be,
public safety in general, yeah.
that's all. Those are my 2 thoughts when I read through that. I mean, it's not saying that they're mandatory. I'm just saying that those words seemed like there was a hole there. That's all I
Thank
had.
you.
Okay, Commissioner Mose?
I don't have any thing to add. I like that it gives us these things to look at and to review before we start to consider a request to change someone's zoning.
Thank you. Commissioner Williams?
I would need to look, I would want more time to look at this before I make a comment. Actually,
Okay. I wonder, like, right there at consider, before it's the list of 1, 2, 3, do we need to say consider each or consider every or all, or just that it's not like consider 1 or 2 of these? I mean, I don't know.
Applicable?
Well,
Just before it starts to get to the 1, 2, 3, authority must also consider.
All of the following.
Yeah.
Every.
Yeah.
About that.
think we're okay. I mean,
Well,
just because you consider it doesn't mean that you're going to actually
Yeah.
even use it.
Yeah.
Although we ought to at least consider it.
I would,
Must.
So
I.
Must.
I would like
more than
on,
just ought to, huh?
on number 3, where we have 12.290, can you just put the title that's the land use table also?
this may be fine, but I just want to ask on number 6, when it says the proposed amendment may adversely affect, that's really wide. someone might say, oh, that's not affecting that area too much. Like, is there more guidelines, more specifics, or does it follow a table I'm not aware of?
No, that's currently in our code. And that's one of the ambiguous criteria that we talked about in our discussion, that tends to have people draw a conclusion or have an opinion. We can look into this one additionally and maybe come up with specific criteria that lead us to, what we're looking for is something that DRC can give us, members of DRC can give us to speak to these criteria for
Yeah.
you to consider. So we can definitely tackle that language. Maybe
I think
that's
it's very
defining
open.
something for,
I feel like it is not,
like
It's
who's to
just-
say.
yeah, it's just really, if we can't say shall, I think this
Right.
is a big can of worms, but
Agreed that it shouldn't be so. Oh,
Okay, I'm back.
Chris says.
I probably would take it out because I don't know how you can pinpoint it unless we just can look at the wording.
I disagree with taking it out just because I think that is something that needs to be taken into consideration. We might need to just narrow the language a little more
Make
specifically.
it more specific.
Mhm.
Okay. Ned, what do you got?
So it's
I'm back to the
measurable.
comment before about putting the word like consider all. That seems to imply that this would be the only things you need to consider. You may want to say something, at least all of the following.
I like
So that it
that.
could be expanded so you don't get boxed into,
At,
oh, it's something outside of this list
Okay,
that we
at a
consider
minimum.
at a minimum, yeah, kind of thing.
okay. Many good
How about
suggestions.
they must consider the following, but not limited to.
Right. Something like that. Any of those.
Including but not limited to.
Must consider.
We want to give ourselves some wiggle room.
And I don't, I think we ought to also in number 6, if you want to make that less ambiguous, I would also even take out may and adversely and put effects. So it could be a positive effect. How much does it affect positively? Doesn't have to always have an adverse effect.
Of course. Should we also include some kind of finding of fact with that?
I think we need more facts
Okay.
personally, because I still think even if we took out may adversely affect, it's like, it's just still really open, in my
Well,
opinion.
I don't know if, when we're talking about adjacent properties, I don't know if we can actually look into the future with facts. We may be able to with, like transportation studies, but that would fall under number 4.
Well, that's why I mentioned if we remove it, because aren't there other guidelines to even have it pass through
Well,
other channels before it's approved?
This is where we get the children will die type response from neighbors. Or this sounds like the best thing since cooking with Crisco. So,
I think it's helpful to remember that this is rezone criteria, not a project criteria. This isn't a drawing before us. This isn't a project. This isn't a subdivision or a development. This is whether or not whatever could happen in this zone, no matter what they say they're going to do, are you willing to have anything that could be allowed in this zone be in this property? Even though they often come with saying, we're going to do a nursing home, we're going to do a drive-in. We should be considering anything that could be in the zone they're requesting.
Yeah,
Which-
like a gas station.
Right, which I think, I don't know if that changes some of the discussion that we're having, but this isn't for specific projects or developments.
Just a rezone.
Yeah. And I don't mean to say just because a rezone's a big deal, but approving a rezone is different than approving a development.
Well, 6 is a prime example of the next thing we're going to talk about. So I don't want to distract with it, but I want to say this is one of the reasons why CUPs are being removed, right? Because the conditions that you're trying to mitigate sometimes are not factual. They're ideas. This could pollute the air. This could cause a noise problem when there's no facts before you that say that it will. And so, is 6 really something, are adverse effects something we really need to consider? Or should this be more about, can the infrastructure and all of the things that exist now support any use that could be developed in this zone? So I'm kind of, I mean, not that my vote counts, but I'm kind of with Heather. I think if we try to guess the adverse effects that any use allowed in this zone might have, then that's a guessing game. And that's certainly not a game we want to play. So I think it's definitely worth some thought, and maybe you guys can send us some email feedback on that, but it's certainly worth some good thought about whether that needs to stay in or go away or be modified, for sure.
I think, I think almost anything we consider, a lot of it on this list, they are projections, they're estimates and guesstimates to the future. Nobody's got a crystal ball, even traffic. We're making statistical estimates based on past information. So we can't rule out, just because we're guessing at the future, we can't rule it out, or we'd have to rule out all of the estimates that were given. I think we need to leave something open and consider that there might be something out there that we aren't aware of that doesn't fall under traffic and these other things that might be brought to our attention by an adjacent property owner.
Okay.
I think we need to be open to, there are things that we may not know, and we can rule out just emotions. When we hear those things, we can say, okay, thank you, we'll consider, that's emotional. We don't say that out loud, obviously.
Sure.
We don't, but we can consider, we're capable of filtering out what's emotion and what's fact when we hear it. And I think that's our job.
Sure.
Yeah, I think it should stay in one form or another, just because, I mean, there's not a hard line criteria. It's just like, you should think about all these things before you do it. And thinking about the neighbors is a good thing to think about.
Okay. We'll definitely work on that.
I mean, the wording may be tweaked, but
Yeah.
I think the concept of thinking about the neighbors is a good thing.
Okay. And if you guys have specific suggestions or arguments one way or another for some kind of verbiage, definitely let us know that in the coming week or so.
And this isn't saying that pushes us one way or the other. It's just saying we have to consider
We should
that.
think about it.
We need to at least think about it.
It should go on the pros and cons list at
Right.
some form.
Okay.
Okay, any other discussion from commissioners on this, on rezone criteria? Okay. Is that good from staff?
Okay. Thank you. Those are all really helpful suggestions.
Okay, next are the land use table revisions 2.0.
Okay, and remember that you heard this as well. We talked about this, but it came to our attention that it needed some, before, it didn't make it to city council. This is why I should let Kyle speak. It didn't go to city council. I held it because it occurred to me there were more changes that needed to be made before it went to city council. And instead of pushing it on with things you had not heard, we decided to bring it back to you.
Did we already vote on it?
You did. You voted to approve, but I felt like it was correct to bring it back to you with additional
Substantial
and
changes.
final changes. And I'll let Kyle explain all the things that we did to this, and he's put it together nicely for you.
All right, Kyle.
Cool. So the Excel spreadsheet that's part of the packet, Ms. Layton graciously put together a line by line sort of edits of what was edited. Here's what the final product would look like, assuming all of these changes go through. And I created some slides going over categorically some of the changes that were made. So first, with the headings and titles, we're renaming the heading to 12.290.10, just to be consistent with the rest of the code. We're also starting the transition to our new zones that we're writing. So we're titling these low density, medium density, high density, et cetera, but we're keeping the designations of R2, R4, and R5 until the new zones are created. So down here, So those standards are still in place until we pass the new ones. We're removing the RT and PUD zones. As you recall, we're repealing the RT zone, and then the PUD is an overlay, so it shouldn't be a part of the zones. We're also adding this use-specific standards column. This is going to reference the related part of the code. And as we get more definitions or as we update the code, we will be able to add its related reference in that column. Are there any comments for this slide?
I just think it was motioned on the colored tablet to have the headings on every slide because it gets confusing. I swear we asked that.
We did.
Okay.
did.
It's a format situation.
Okay.
Yeah, for the heading to stay, so.
But this isn't what you see on the website.
It's not?
Oh.
Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't know
No.
You
that.
see one continuous.
Okay. I
So
just,
on the website, the heading stays there as you scroll through.
That's
Okay.
the intention.
What about lines across? I remember Melinda said something and I agree with that. Some kind of a line
Yes.
between.
A grid, some sort of.
Very
grid.
hard to scroll across and keep
Yeah.
track.
I'm sorry. I was about to say something, but I wasn't sure if
Yes.
it was my turn.
It's your turn.
I see that underneath the name of the zone, we're still using our old zone names, our designations, R2, R4, R5. If I remember right, R2 or the low density residential was actually an R4 or larger lot.
So low density is going to be a combination of agricultural and R2. It's going to be the lowest density that we have.
Are we even? I thought that as a city, we wanted to stop with the half acre and larger lots because of the
Mhm.
cost to the infrastructure.
Yeah, so what's being reflected here, we took the names that are on the future land use map, which were kind of categories where we had a bunch of zones lumped in together. And what we're doing now is separating them out and renaming them again, because the R thing just seems to be confusing people. And so we're taking the names in the future land use map and assigning them to the new zones that we're creating. And then at the end of this mess, when we get it all straightened out, we're going to redo the future land use map again.
Okay, well, I still thought that the low density was 4 lots per acre or less,
Will be once we create and write and pass that low density.
and
zone.
medium was about 8.
Mhm.
And high density was about 15.
So these uses will still be
Give or
allowed in the
two.
zones. The minimums and maximums will change and a few of the uses may change. But R2 and low density residential will be similar, but it will be small. We have to keep these in place because as you know, we didn't do any kind of moratorium while we make all these changes. So it's kind of like if you sold your house, but the new house you bought, people were still living there and you had to move in with them until they could find somewhere else to go, right? So we're having to house both of these kinds of codes at the same time because we don't have a stopping point. We have to blend everything together. So because we have developments in R2, we have to keep it on the use table for right now. Once we pass our low density residential zones, we can go back in and remove R2.
Okay,
But for right now, it's got to stay and that's as close as we're going to get.
so all we're doing right now is adding these or changing the names, not the designations, but the names on the land use table.
We're adding them in.
Okay,
Sorry.
Yes, that's part one.
And the reference column, yeah.
right,
And
but
cleaning up some
yeah,
other things. That's. the
I'm
main-
more worried about the residential. I'm more.
Yeah, and I'm just saying.
Yeah,
For the most part, it's
formatting thing that now.
Correct. The Excel spreadsheet shows the proposed changes for today and also the future changes. So you can see that we're just changing the titles for this iteration. And then in the future, those are all the things that we're going to change. So like the creation or redoing all of those zone
Okay.
site development standards.
Yeah, what I'm afraid of is the community is going to see low density, medium density, and high density. They're going to focus in, of course, on high density. And they're not going to understand that we don't mean high density like a skyscraper apartment building.
Well, and right now, our high density is R5, right? That's what we're saying. Right now, our high density is R5, and that's
Well,
true.
Yeah, our high density is really more mixed use, but because we've got the,
These don't line up exactly, but again, this is kind of the best we can do right now without coming to a full stop.
okay. I get it.
Yeah, will we also have like we may split commercial into adding retail as its own column?
Small and large, or yeah, retail, and there's lots of different things you can do with commercial and industrial.
Because
We're
why
not
not?
tackling those right now. We're trying to get our residential right, and then we'll move on to those.
We're a small city and this is a huge document. Like big cities still do it this way?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Okay. I appreciate the reference column being added at the end.
Yes.
Okay.
All right, I think we're ready for Kyle again.
Okay. So here are some of the additions to the table. So first in the commercial area, we've got hospitals and we're adding and healthcare facilities just to make sure it covers all similar uses. These three here are adding data centers, power plants, and detention centers, jails, prison facilities, and we're saying they're not permitted across the board. This is to put those uses in, but to buy us time to figure out what the city and the commission wants to do with with each of those uses for the future. So are there any comments for this slide?
Under power plants, I would put wind, solar, nuclear. We're talking all power plants, right?
Water?
I mean, right now, we can only think of wind, solar, nuclear. Things are moving so fast. I think we ought to put any power plants, including wind, solar, nuclear.
Okay.
Just so that we have that full umbrella of that, because we keep hearing about new stuff every day and they may come in and go, hey, this isn't wind, solar, or nuclear. So you're applying and technically you should approve it because it doesn't fall under that.
I'm guessing that we can't say no to a jail or a prison if the state chose to put one in our boundaries.
If the property was private, right, and it was a use that was considered, we could say no. If the state or the federal government came in and bought a property and it belonged to the state or federal government, just like the school district, we wouldn't have a say. They could just do the thing. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't see Hyde Park being the first place that they're going to look for.
We do have some land close to the airport that would be useful to a great many number of things. So we just have to be prepared.
I
All we
like
can
being
do.
prepared and proactive.
Mhm.
Can always change later if we want.
That's right.
Okay, perfect. Moving on, we've just got one removal, and this is P star, permitted with specific conditions outlined in ordinance. This was part of the legend. This is unnecessary because it's true of permitted use as well. All uses have to follow the conditions outlined in the ordinance. And it's worth noting that the legend was moved to the top of the use table as well, so that they can see that and then go through and see.
Excellent.
Okay, are there any comments on this slide? Perfect. Okay, we've got a few language changes. So it used to say discussion item in this top left corner. We are changing that to uses by zoning district. Instead of accessory building, we're adding or changing it to accessory structure to match the rest of the code. This also matches state code. Under our short-term rental section, we're saying overnight accommodations instead of Verbo. So we're not referencing a specific company. And we are modifying sexually oriented business to adult oriented business. Are there any comments for this slide?
Isn't a senior care facility an adult-oriented business?
Ma'am, we invite you to read section 4 about business licenses,
Okay,
so that we don't have any awkwardness here tonight.
got it. Okay, so section 4
Yep.
will give me the definitions of that.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
It will give you an idea of the changes to come as well.
Okay,
What we're talking about, I'm not sure if there's a definition I'm sure we have a definition.
There
of what
will
it
be
is,
one. Yes.
of businesses that don't allow people underneath us, under a certain age to enter. I don't know if that could be,
We will
like
bring
it's
that
tobacco
definition.
or,
We will bring that definition before you.
yeah.
Yes. But right now, this is the change that we're going to make. We want to keep our language professional and consistent throughout code.
got it. Okay.
Okay, perfect. So like the retail sales establishment definition that we saw earlier, there's a lot of extraneous definitions next to a lot of these that list all of the uses or add extra information. And so we're removing all of those descriptions and we will slowly add definitions, putting those uses into the definitions section that can be referred to rather than using up extra space on the use table itself. And so here's a list of all of those that we are shortening down to just the use itself. Are there any are there any comments for this slide?
This is a description removal just off of this table. We're just.
Yes.
Okay, got it.
And you're going to separately define them elsewhere if they're not already.
Correct.
Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Add it as a definition.
Okay, perfect. We've got a couple of use relocations. So first, we are moving the agricultural experimental station from the residential zone to the industrial zone. Sorry, the use, thank you. We're also moving the use of the agricultural and food production business from the commercial to industrial use. Are there any comments for this slide?
What are the ramifications of moving from commercial to industrial?
So nothing changes. It's just the fact that agricultural experiment, I don't even know what an agricultural experimentation station is. I assume it was put into the use table for one specific instance, maybe. It was listed in with the residential uses. And in residential, it was just a bunch of X's, but it's allowed in industrial. So that tells me it's not actually a residential use, it's an industrial use. So it needs to be in the industrial uses section. Same thing with the food production business. It was listed in commercial, but it's an X in commercial and a P in industrial, which tells me it's not a commercial use. It doesn't belong in the commercial section, it belongs in the industrial section. So we just took the uses and matched them up with what they actually were and put them in the right category.
Okay, so it's already what you're moving it to. It was just wrong on the table.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
This is mostly just a tidy up and get things clean and useful situation.
Cool. The last one's same idea of just relocating where it is. The accessory caretaker unit is moved from commercial to residential. A stable is moved from residential to commercial, and fruit and vegetable stand with a business license is moved from residential to commercial. Are there any comments?
I have a question on that one. The first one, like I think Cash Honda used to have someone stay in their building overnight to check for lights and alarms. So that
Would be a residential use, right? The thing that's happening, someone's living there, it's a residential use.
in a commercial
in a
zone.
commercial zone.
Okay.
It's not a commercial use. It's a residential, the thing that's happening is residential. Yes, same thing with the stable. Hopefully, no, I mean, some people were born in a stable,
So
but It's not a residential use. It's a commercial use. And we had it in the residential section. And same thing with fruit and vegetable stand. That's a commercial use. It doesn't belong in the residential section. It belongs in commercial. It's allowed in residential, but it's the use itself is a commercial use.
So a stable like a barn, right?
Like a place where you would board horses.
Yeah,
Where someone
I've
could
seen
pay to
people-
board their horses.
I've seen people convert those to homes. Is that just, do they have to go get that rezoned then? Like it would never be
So
considered
again,
residential?
it's just about the use.
Okay.
Right? The use is renting out stalls to horses.
Okay.
That's not a residential use. That's a
Okay.
commercial use. It's
Okay.
allowed in residential zones.
Okay.
But the use itself is commercial. So again, this is just about putting the uses in the right category. And then they're still allowed in the same zones that they always were.
An accessory caretaker unit. Are we talking about we're talking about an ADU?
No, most often it's considered a guard apartment or an on-site caretaker's facility in something like a help me out, where you keep all your cars and your car parts, a junkyard, right? We'll have somebody who stays on site all the time in some kind of apartment or RV or something like that. So a caretaker unit, our code allows that. Somebody who is living on a commercial property for a purpose. Does our definition need beefing up? Yes, it does. It is a version of ADU. It's the commercial version of ADU. Does it have all the
Okay.
rules and regulations? No, it does not.
Yeah, lots of questions.
Should it?
Why,
Not today.
why not?
Okay. Our last section is the use changes themselves. So a lot of these are just removing conditional use permits, as Ms. Layton mentioned earlier today, and either putting in permitted or not permitted uses. So first is our accessory dwelling unit, or our detached accessory dwelling unit. We're getting rid of conditional use permits for. We're permitting it in all residential zones and agricultural zone as long as it meets development standards. We're also permitting it in the mountain recreation zone, and we are prohibiting it in all other zones. For the agricultural experimentation station, sorry, we're removing the permitted use from commercial and public and industrial. For the state, sorry?
Public institution.
Public institutional, I apologize. For our stable, we're removing the conditional use permit and prohibiting it in the residential zone, and we're permitting it in the mountain recreation zone.
Okay, clearly I misspoke when I said it would still be allowed in all the zones it was allowed in. We did take the commercial use of stables out of the residential. My bad.
And then finally, our car wash, we're removing all of our conditional use permits and we're prohibiting it.
Okay,
We're saying no more car washes anywhere?
That's what we're saying. That was a topic in one of our discussions. I think it came from the water use.
so the accessory dwelling unit, by the way, I watched
The DADU from the Utah League of Cities and
yeah,
Towns.
ULTC. I watched that today. That was very interesting. They're gonna they recorded it and it'll be available for everyone. And the best part, I guess, was all the sample or example codes that were in other cities that we may want to look at and figure out if we would like to make some of those changes also. That was interesting. A stable, as far as replacing it with an X, I can understand if it were a quarter-acre lot, you wouldn't want a stable. But we've got lots that are 2 to 5 acres, and I don't know why they couldn't have that opportunity if they are horse people and wanted to do that.
We talked about that, and a stable, much like a dog boarding facility, is not a home occupation. And so there are commercial standards that would have to come into place if you're going to run a big stable and board horses.
Well, I guess we need to figure out what the maximum number of horses are before it's considered a quote unquote stable.
Yeah, there's a lot of definitions we need.
So,
For sure. So right now,
Yeah.
this will have an X. It can always be changed once we've got those standards. If you want to leave it
do
in
we
there,
have any in town now? Does anyone know? Do we
I don't have
anybody
any
who boards
business
horses?
for a stable right now.
You know where some are?
What if there's not a stable, but they're putting tons of horses on a property?
That's a statement.
We would wait for a complaint and it would become a code enforcement case, and then we would have to ask questions. But that's exactly why we need to maybe put a not allowed right now until we can come up with that good standard, right? We already talked about the animal ordinance and what a mess that's going to be. But we are going to have to define it. We're going to have to figure out where it's allowed. We're going to have to figure out if it's an agricultural use, then it's permitted on agricultural properties, right? We're going to have to make all these determinations. So we can either leave it open right now and come back to it later. We can leave, well, actually it's conditional uses right now. So it would have to be a P across the board or an X across the board.
I would rather lean on the side of people having the right to use their property the way they want until we get something codified,
Okay.
rather than carte blanche, cut it off,
Great.
because I'm not aware of any, but I can't imagine that we don't have people that have horses that let their family or a friend keep their horse there. Would that technically be blocked?
No, I'm not talking about just letting
And
someone,
pay for it.
yeah, like
Yeah. 'Cause there's
yeah,
people that
boarding
in other
horses, as
cities,
they move through this, you know, when you haul horses, you have to stop somewhere
yeah,
and let them stay overnight and stuff like that.
right.
Yeah.
Because in other cities, there's people, I am aware in other cities of people who let people take money from people to let them keep, they don't have a big
Yes.
enough lot themselves.
Sure.
Someone's got 5 acres, they pay them a certain amount to basically board their horse there. They go take care of them, but,
Well, and remember, we're not just talking about horses.
right.
Okay.
So if we allow it for now without standards in place and someone is doing that, then what happens when there's a complaint? We can't do
There's no-
anything.
There's no complaint if there's no standards unless it falls under the noise ordinance or the,
So if we later
New
come up with standards and then someone complains, I mean, they would have to come in compliance with those standards that we come up with later, or they can say we're grandfathered in.
we're using this for is not code enforcement. Like I said, I looked and we don't have any business licenses for stables. There's nobody who this would apply to right now that I know of. What we're doing is setting things in place for future use. If somebody were to come to us and say, we want to open a stable to keep, 50 goats. We want to be able to sell them and,
It's not a stable, that's a farm.
not if you're just keeping them temporarily for their folks. It's a stable.
I think Hyde Park
Goat
does.
trading business happens all over the place. I'm not picking on goats. I'm just saying, if we don't have standards, then we say yes. And yes, if there's a code enforcement complaint, nobody's violating any codes and there's no case. So you guys get to choose. If it stays, it can't be a conditional use. Either it's allowed or not allowed. And we need development standards to allow it. So until we come up with those, which we do not have, would you like it to be not allowed? Or would you like it to be allowed across the board?
I'm a no.
I'm into the X. I lean toward not allowing.
I lean towards permitting just
But I think.
freedom of use of property.
Yeah, I think this is one of those that we need a definition on before we can say
Right.
one
So
way or the other.
I think putting an X now doesn't mean we never want these. It means we don't have, for me, it means we don't have standards yet. Once we get standards, then that X can change.
Can we set a basic standard of 24 hours right now for those who might have it, because I think I'm very much aware of people that are,
No, we can't
It's
set
good,
any
yeah.
kind of time.
There's no code enforcement issue, so.
Yeah.
it doesn't matter.
okay. So then if there's no code enforcement, I don't know why we're even,
This is so somebody can come get a business license. Or stable.
okay. Just exit then.
This is only for business license applications.
That's
It's not for
commercial
uses.
Use, commercial use. And we
Well-
don't have any that I know of.
One thing I think we should do is if you want something there
To replace the condition.
to replace the condition, you've got X in all the residential. Why don't we just change that to be a P in the agricultural and the R2,
Okay,
and then X in the R4, R5.
Smaller lots.
And for the smaller lots, yeah, that doesn't make sense to have a stable on a smaller lot when you've got neighbors that close, and that then does become a nuisance
okay.
with the odors and whatever else.
Good compromise.
Okay. Excellent. For our last slide, these are continuations of last slide. So the gun range is going to be prohibited in public and industrial, and permitted in the mountain recreation zone. Manufacture of goods retailed on premises is permitted in industrial and prohibited everywhere else. Machine and welding shops we're replacing the conditional use permit with prohibited in commercial, and the cemetery and mausoleum, we're replacing the conditional use permit with prohibited in industrial.
Sorry, what's the MR again on the first one, the gun range?
Sorry, mountain recreation zone.
Oh, mountain rec. Got it.
Question, oh, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, why are we not letting welding shops in commercial?
Right now, our development standards, the development standards, for getting.
I
the-
guess if they're a commercial thing and they have a welding capability in the back. That's not the same.
We didn't go into that much detail.
Okay.
It's just about, the machine shops and welding shops fell under the category of, they were conditional use permits because they had things that needed to be mitigated, right? Noise or odor. or
Odor,
whatever.
dust.
So if we want to allow them in commercial, then we need to come up with those development standards. Right now, they're allowed in industrial, no problem. But if we want to allow them in commercial in the future, we just need to come up with development standards for that kind of mitigation.
Right.
Um,
Probably just a definition too, because I'm just thinking of some retail shops that might have welding and.
these
machine shop
use
facilities in the back.
changes are mostly just, once we take out the C for conditional use,
Right.
we either have to allow it or not allow it. We're erring on the side of caution.
I just leave it. I think we can leave it for now, fix it later.
Yes. We intend to do that as quickly as possible too.
Question on the manufacture of goods retailed on premises. This is specific only to which zone? Because I know lots of people do home businesses.
Right now, this wouldn't be a home business.
Okay, this is only specific to.
This is strictly to a
commercial.
manufacturing place. This is manufacturing of goods on the premises.
So we're not talking about.
Right
your-
now, it is only allowed in MX with a conditional use permit. It's allowed in commercial with a conditional use permit, and then it's allowed in industrial. So right now, we're still allowing it in industrial and just taking it out, taking the conditional use out of MX and commercial until such a time as we can write those development standards, and then we can make it a P if we want to.
So this is large scale manufacture. We're not talking about mom and pop stuff out of there.
Absolutely
Okay.
not. None of this is home occupation. Home occupation doesn't come into play for any of these.
Thank you.
Okay, that is all I have for that discussion item. So thank you all.
Thank you, Kyle. All right,
Yeah, lots of home.
that's our land use. That's discussion item B.
That was B, yes.
B. Any other discussion before we move on from that one? Okay, we move on to, and nothing else from staff for that one. Okay, we move on to 7C, water rights dedication revisions. This is, if you recall, last fall, we kind of made a hard stop on water dedication, and a lot of the developers were not complained about it. And we put it off, or said we were going to put it off, but then we brought it back and we did vote on it quickly before we had like a workshop of some sort. But then we decided someone realized it didn't really work. This is my memory of kind of this. It's probably not how staff sees it.
It's been going on.
Yeah, and I mean, I was uncomfortable voting to stop that, but staff assured us like, no, this is how it needs to be. So I'm actually happy that this is coming back to be amended in some manner.
Information. We needed to know how much water we had, how much water we were using, how long it would last, right? We had none of that information. So now we do.
Okay.
So is that why we were encouraged or given information? Because this was like the first thing I came in on, I remember. And I thought Hyde Park was running out of water shares and water rights, and they weren't being charged enough from the developers.
We thought we were, and that's what necessitated the change. So just like we talked about where in these changes, we just put the big X because we're trying to figure out what's going on. That's essentially what happened with the water rights code. Last fall, Melinda's remembering correctly, we kind of had a scare where we had all these units coming in and we were doing some math and thought, I think our water rights are disappearing way quicker than we can find them. And so we started trying to come up with a way to slow it down and do some changes. We had a couple tweaks to the code. And then it hit a point where in discussions with the mayor, it was decided we need to hit a hard stop while we finished a study and figure out what's going on. And so we have the preliminary results back from our water rights update, and turns out we're doing okay. We're doing better than we thought we were. And so in discussions with the city attorney, we have a new draft of our water rights dedication code that we would like to present for discussion tonight. And the short version is we've loosened it up and brought back a couple of options for developers to get water rights so they don't have to go out and search high and low across the state to find rights to develop. We can get to kind of the heart of that issue on page 1, 2, 3, 4 of the draft. Just a couple of new, not necessarily new options, but we're bringing a few options back. One, we're bringing back a fee in lieu of water rights dedication to allow for that option again. We're bringing back well, I guess that's the only one we're bringing back. We also have a new option that we discussed with the city attorney, a lease back option where developer could do a lease agreement with the city to do a payment over time to get those water rights taken care of. The other thing we're bringing back, I'm not sure how it's going to work out yet. I'm still kind of puzzling through this. And it's not really shown on a red line. The other thing is these red lines are red lines of a version that was already redlined. So for the public hearing, I got to get all the changes together in one nice, pretty document for everybody. But if you turn your attention to the final page, the very last paragraph, we're bringing back the discount. Right now, I have it set at 50%, which is way more than we had it before. I need to get some opinions from the city engineer and the public works director on the 50% amount. But basically what we're saying is everybody needs to contribute to our water situation. We need to make sure we're making room for the people who are coming next. But paper water rights are becoming more and more valuable and more scarce. And so we want to offer an option where if a developer wants to take the time and go out and find water rights and do a change application at the state level, we want to offer them some kind of discount and let the city water rights kind of make up the difference for what they would need to contribute. And so, yeah, the 50% is quite generous. It's probably going to be brought down a little bit. Previously, we had in the code a 25% discount they would need to bring
This is if they give us the water right.
If they go through all the trouble and headache of actually finding a water right, getting it turned over to us, assigning it to one of our water sources, because it can be a lot of headache, then we're willing to give a discount to the total required dedication for the project.
Instead of a fee in lieu. Is that what you're saying?
Right. So let's say somebody has to go find, I don't know,
Just say 100, whatever.
one. We'll do one.
One. Great.
Somebody has to find 1 acre foot of water. Our fee in lieu is $10,000 per acre foot. I don't know what it is right now. I'm just throwing out numbers. So right now, developer could hand the city a check for 10 grand and say, I'm done. Let me build my houses. Great. Now, with this option, the developer could go on the private market, potentially find an acre foot of water, buy it, turn over half of that to the city, and maybe they only paid $5,000 for that. Because the city got the paper water right, we'd be willing to give them a 50% discount.
Like that's all we would require from them.
Well, they're
It
turning
sounds
it-
like it's not much, but it's actually quite the process to
They're
get that
turning it
turned
to
over.
Hyde Park City. They're
Yeah.
giving you that water right.
It's pretty much like buying property. You have
Yeah.
to buy it. There's a deed process, and if you're turning it over to a different, it's like if you're getting it changed from groundwater out in, for Cutler Reservoir or something, a point of diversion over there. If you're getting it changed to one of the wells in Hyde Park, there is a process. You have to go turn it into the state, do some paperwork. There's a little bit of a hearing that happens. It sounds really easy, but it's a little bit of a process. And so if people are willing to do that, we would like to offer them some kind of discount.
So we're incentivizing their labor to go out and get it. They could potentially save money if they're willing to do the boots on the ground work.
Right. And the problem that we had previously is we were collecting these fees from developers, but we couldn't find water rights fast enough to be able to spend the money we were collecting or anticipating collecting from these projects. So we would rather have them go out, do the legwork, find the water rights, bring them back, and then we'll let the reserve of water rights that we have planned for the next 20 years of growth supplement that.
And I thought the fee was too low. The original fee when we discussed this last time.
Yeah, it was. The funny thing is when we changed it to 5,000, everybody thought we were gouging them. And then when we went to go buy water rights on the private market, they were like 7,500. We were like, what the heck?
So are we changing that as well?
Yeah, there's a section in here. It's a new section that was added about, it's got a right of first refusal thing in here. And it talks about how we're changing it to be market driven. I still don't know what that looks like because the water rights market's really volatile. It is going nuts right now. And so I'm still having discussions with the city attorney about what that means, because most cities just set a price point. They just go in every couple of months, check the market, put it on the fee schedule. I think I read today, I want to say it was Wellsville, and on one of the local cities, I was looking at their codes and they changed it to 12,000. It was a higher city. They just charge $12,000 per acre foot now. So
Like that doesn't have to go through a city council approval process because they have just said market value. And so every month they're just updating what that market value is.
they're updating their fee schedule.
Yeah.
So it's a fee schedule update. It's not necessarily, what I don't want to have happen is every time somebody submits something for a lot split or adding, some small amount of water, that now Mikhail or I or somebody in the office has to go spend 2 hours doing a market study to figure out how much water rights would cost. I'd rather we do that at set periods of time, and then we can just update our fee schedule.
Or could we tie it to specific size developments, this size and above, then it's tied to the market schedule? So the market
Not
price?
really. Because of how water rights law works, you can't really do it based on size. The table on when you start section 12.150.020 designates how we're going to get the water rights dedicated. We just do it based on unit counts. Because this is a requirement handed by the state. When they audit our water system every year, they want to make sure that the amount of water that we're collecting from our reservoirs, from our wells, matches as closely as possible the amount of water going out to projects. And that's how they track our water rights. And so when we're acquiring new water rights or allocating for new projects, it's the same idea. We take the numbers from the state that they're going to be checking us when they come to the audit. And that's how we determine how many water rights we need from these developments.
So yeah, that 1.87 per unit, doesn't matter if I have a 10-bedroom home or a 1-bedroom townhome.
Oh, I didn't say we liked the numbers. I just said that's what the state hands to us. And when they do our audit every year, this is what they want. We've had several discussions with developers about pushing the state to maybe redo their calculations. And I think we would all enjoy that because the city's water rights would go further and the burden on the developers and our new homeowners would be lessened as well. But that's a huge lift at the state level to get these numbers changed. And I don't know if there's an appetite for them to do that.
And so for now, that's what that means.
Right.
Had been 10-bedroom home, same as 1-bedroom townhome.
Right. This, and the thing that is hard for us to explain without sounding like jerks is we don't do this to be greedy or because we want to hoard water rights. We do this because it's what the state requires when they audit our water system. If the state didn't have the requirement, we probably wouldn't care half as much about this as we do. But because every year we have the threat of getting points put on our system, getting put on some kind of improvement plan and getting fines from the state, we have to track this really meticulously. And that's why it's become such a huge deal across the state for, you know, developers, cities, everybody to be accounting for and watching your water rights.
Mike?
I appreciate everything that you did to update this. And I appreciate that it is in Title 12, our land use code. But I wonder if, because this is, again, kind of like a development agreement, a business end of the deal, I wonder if this really should be handled as far as a public meeting. Not a public meeting, but a
Hearing?
Public hearing.
hearing at the city council level. Because again, this is more like a dollars and cents type thing where we're just land use. You either have it or you don't have the water and then we say yes or no. I mean,
Yeah, it's another great example. Unfortunately, right now, our process is all public hearings for all land use codes happen here at the planning commission level. But I'll definitely pass on to the city council that you think this should be a them problem and not a you problem.
This and development agreements are the two things now I've come across that I think really need to be
Yeah.
Wasn't
That's
this,
valid.
focused at the city council level.
wasn't this a public hearing when we voted on it back
We
last?
just discussed it, I think.
Yeah, there
We
was a
haven't-
public hearing on this before.
Yeah.
I was not here, but from what I understand, there was a lot of input from the development community that they were not pleased with the changes that were being contemplated. And so, yeah, we hope that this is an
I don't think
olive
they showed
branch,
up.
so to speak.
Conveniently absent.
They
They
spoke
did?
at the public hearing.
Was that
That's
in
how we-
fall?
That's
Is that
how we
the
did so
fall?
much.
Okay.
Yeah.
I wasn't here for that, but I was here when it was passed and I just did a lot of research at that time and a lot of cities do require them to bring their water rights.
Oh, yeah,
And
so
I did a lot of research. We are not out of the ordinary to require them to bring the water rights. But I also felt bad for the developers. I don't want to halt building. So I do like, but at the same time, I'm just kind of torn a little bit because I hate
But
going
there's
back
only-
and forth. as
Only so
well.
many water rights, right?
Right.
They-
That's
they
this is
only
kind
have
of
so
the
many.
this is kind of the fight that we as cities have with the state every year because they say build, 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 and we say, okay, but when the water wars start, we're coming for you. Like we're not going to take it lying down because we're going to get to the point right now. Cache Valley especially still has a lot of water rights that are being circulated and that are available generally. But like down on the south end of the state, it's getting tight. Like their water conservancy districts down there are saying we're limiting the amount of water rights we're giving out. There's communities that are, I mean, you're looking at tens of thousands of dollars for 1 acre foot of water to build one house. Like it's getting crazy down on the south end of the state.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's not getting any better, but we're doing what we can. The state auditor actually did an audit of water right exactions across the state last year. I think I had talked about this last year when this came up first. But they found that of all the cities that they audited, which we were not one, but we would fall into this category, more than half of those cities had some kind of exaction for water rights, meaning they said, you developer have to do something to bring water rights with your project, whether that was a fee, whether that was you're out of luck, you just have to bring water rights. And of that 60%, more than half was you're out of luck, you just have to bring water rights. So yes, we were not out of the ordinary when we passed that ordinance and said no more. But yeah, when we finished our study and found that we were in better shape than we thought, we as city staff would like to propose this kind of taking things back to what they were.
So based on what's happening in the southern area of our state and our current drought, it's reasonably foreseeable that we will be in the same situation potentially within the next 3 years.
I don't know about 3, but eventually we'll get there.
Okay. So this is something that is foreseeable that we should at least anticipate. We might hit that same.
There's cities out there that have gone out and purchased water rights. They've said, we know we're only going to be this big. This is our municipal boundary. This is our zoning map. We anticipate we'll need this much water rights. And they've already gone out and bought it all. And so they don't require developers to bring it because they thought ahead and saw the writing on the wall and they're good to go. And that's why they get a little grumpy when the state does stuff like changing the ADU codes and saying you have to allow more units. But yeah, Hyde Park's not one of them. If you look at the records of the history of the city, everybody always thought we'd be a teeny tiny town forever. Nobody ever anticipated we'd be more than a few thousand people. And so we're a little behind the 8 ball, but yeah, we do have a stockpile of water rights that we could dip into for growth for the next while.
I like the changes. I mean, I don't want to hurt the growth of Hyde Park, but I do think the market value, because I think we were giving it to the developers way underpriced. So I think it's important for us. I mean, as a resident, I hate the charges. I want it to be low, but as our city as a whole, I want to keep it running well. So I think following the market price, and then if they will turn over their water right, I love that incentive. So I think this is it's a compromise. Yeah.
Yeah, I appreciate this coming back. I guess there's nothing, I mean, a law doesn't mean that everybody will live by the law, but are there laws that you can't sell water rights separate from land that needs it?
No, our city code has a very flimsy, I almost call it a throwaway line where we say that you can't do that, but it's not something that we track. We are not getting into everybody's real estate transactions, telling them you can't sell your water rights off. But
That's just a buyer beware. You buy that property, you know it's below a canal, you're thinking great, and then you come to develop and the city's like, where's your water rights? And they're like, I don't know, I'm sure I got it with the land. And then they find out, no, they don't have it with the land.
So I guess other thing to bring up, people aren't really going to be happy about this one, but it's a reality of the situation that we are faced with. Previously in our code, we allowed irrigation water to be brought to the city at a 1-to-1, like 1 acre foot of irrigation water could count as 1 acre foot towards your indoor use. Based on some recent water exchanges that we've become aware of across the valley, and some historic precedent, we know that those shares we have never seen a situation where the state engineer has allowed secondary water shares to be transferred at a 1-to-1 rate for drinking water shares or rights, sorry. And so we're changing our code to say that if somebody wants to hand in canal shares and count it towards drinking water, we will only do that at a rate of 2-to-1.
Yeah, I saw that.
But if they want to go out and get a right of diversion from Logan River, which is really hard to find, or another water source, we would allow that to be exchanged at a 1-to-1.
Why is it less than? Why would it be 2-to-1? I just want to understand that.
I'm not sure why, but
Okay.
the history is typically when there's an exchange of water rights, the state engineer does a calculation and decides that moving the water diversion point from here to there is going to have some kind of diminishing effect on the aquifer or the water source or something, and so they can't grant the full
Value.
value of that because there's going to be some diminishing
Okay.
factor.
I just wanted to understand that.
Yeah, I don't know all the science behind it. I'm not an engineer, but what we do know is based on our research, we have not seen a situation where a secondary water right, like from a canal, is allowed to be transferred at a 1-to-1 rate for like an underground well share or something like that.
It's probably because your secondary water isn't very reliable. I mean, a lot of times you just run out
Right.
and it's not there, but wells are pretty dependable. So that's why.
True.
It's not as reliable a source.
A lot of secondary shares out there are like, on a good year, you'll get your water, or when the
Right.
water is over this amount, you'll get your water. Yeah, we don't have a lot of those in our local canals here, but yeah, in the valley, there's lots of situations that exist.
Well, they have rules. They got to keep so much water in certain rivers to keep things going, so they can't pull it out for irrigation.
Mhm.
So they're not a primary user on that. So that's probably why, would be my guess.
Yeah, there's a lot of factors.
Yeah, I mean, at the conference we went to in the spring down in St. George, I went to that water class and he talked about those old rules about A, B, C, D, you know, if we're short on water, then D is the only one who loses out. They don't all get a percentage, you know, like 80%. A, B, C get everything, and D might get some and they might not. And he said, yeah, that's not going to change. Like those old rules are not going to change. The other thing, we went camping last weekend out in Hiram, and the guy that is the camp host now, just nice, mild man, used to be over the sewer in Hiram. And he said, you know, at the time they were counting like parts per million, and that water, once it's gone through all of the cleaning or filtering, would be like 99.9% clean, like practically drinkable if you didn't know where it had come from. You know, if mentally you didn't think back to where it was 5 days ago or 5 months ago. But Hiram was using that for irrigation because they owned, like Smithfield, they're in the irrigation business as well. And so they were pumping that water back in for irrigation purposes.
Mhm.
I'm guessing we don't have any of that option because we're using Logan City for sewer.
The mayor and I have actually talked about that with the Logan City folks a couple times, and generally it's just cost prohibitive to get the water from the Logan treatment plant back out.
Bring it all the
to
way
places
back.
where it comes from is cost prohibitive. And the other thing is, like was mentioned, there's an agreement to deliver so much water downstream to get to like the Great Salt Lake or other places. And so they can't take all of that water and pump it back in to the system for secondary water.
Okay. All right. Anything else you want to talk about before you read this again and again before we leave? Commissioners, you're done with water rights dedication until we meet again?
Yep.
Okay. Future items. You want to talk about those?
So next we will be having discussion about the site development standards for our new and revised zones, the low density, medium density, high density, and center density. We want to get those, before you as a discussion item so that we can work through any changes we need to make and get those adopted so that we can make that transition and let people start subdividing in the R2 zone again. So those are coming next. I did send out an email last week asking who would be available if we had a special meeting on the 29th of July. And I didn't get a lot of replies back.
I think
I think I replied and said something snarky about
You don't
not
want to.
planning my trip very well and being here.
Then if he's gonna go, then I'm gonna go.
I won't be here and I'm sorry.
Okay,
I did reply.
May, I don't, I'll find out.
okay.
Is it at 6?
We don't know yet.
Okay.
There's
I just leave that night, so it's
Oh,
just,
yeah.
it's just hard to say.
No worries.
mayor, and the mayor's trying to figure out if we have a quorum, could we put them on an agenda, get them looked at?
Is that city council night? I didn't-
No, it's a fifth,
one.
it's a
The
fifth
fifth.
Wednesday. Yeah.
I'd prefer it be on a night that there's other meetings.
Yeah, well.
So it
usually
feels
on the
like-
fifth, We would do some, like work session or meeting or something. We
Probably.
don't have anything planned for July usually because everyone's either gone or just for, but if we have a quorum, the mayor would like to know, we may be scheduling a special short.
Yeah. If you can promise me it's short, I will be here. I'm right here, Marcus. Okay, so far you have me and Mike.
So would it be at,
Don't have.
No, I was gonna be here.
Oh, I
Yeah,
thought you said you were gonna.
No, because he didn't plan his vacation
No.
well enough to be gone.
Yeah, he made a snarky remark that he didn't plan his vacations right.
right now?
So
I'm
Mike and I are yes, Heather's a no, and we don't know about Ned or Charlene.
Currently, I am scheduled to be here. We are trying to put a vacation together, but we don't have dates
I'm a
yet.
60%er right now.
all right.
say I'm at 70.
And I feel really bad. I'm gonna be gone that first week in August. This is just, I'm sorry.
August 5th, I'm a 0% on August 5th.
I feel terrible.
Mike and
I can
Charlene, do
maybe
you know
zoom
about
in. I can
August?
maybe zoom in.
August 5th, I'm currently planned on being here,
Okay.
trying to get a big vacation.
We
plan,
just
but
have to have 3 for
don't
one.
have-
Yeah.
Right,
say
I need three to have a meeting.
And I could
for-
possibly zoom in, so I'll just be out of town.
All right. Perfect. Well, that's item C as well.
I think I'll miss the second meeting in August. And I
And you
babysitting
can make Heather chair it
grandchildren.
to make up.
Hmm.
gone.
I may be gone the first week of September.
No, I'm gonna plead
Heather's
newbie still.
move goes.
Okay, so you have a bunch of maybes on that.
Understood.
It's summer.
That July and August, right before school starts is,
That's rough.
it's getting crazy.
Yeah.
Okay, without objection, I'm adjourning the meeting.
Thank you.
Great.
Second that.